You possess a unique power that makes you stronger every time you are killed by another, yet you transmigrated as the Patriarch of the strongest sect. Although your own cultivation base is merely at the foundation establishment stage, the mere mention of your title is enough to send enemies fleeing in terror. However, you know all too well that this fabricated strength is not to be relied upon. To trigger your ability as soon as possible, you sealed yourself within the Forbidden Grounds for 10,000 years. Unexpectedly, upon hearing news of your secluded cultivation, numerous rival sects began to aggressively suppress the Qingyun Sect. 10,000 years later, just as the sect faced total annihilation, a young woman suddenly arrived at the mountain gate and began kowtowing repeatedly. She begged the Patriarch to emerge from seclusion and protect the legacy of the Qingyun Sect. She originally held little hope, until your languid voice echoed from the entrance of the Forbidden Grounds. She knew then that the members of the Chixiao sword sect were destined to perish. Although she could not perceive a shred of cultivation from you, Lin Wanhai was absolutely certain. You must have reached the realm of returning to simplicity, your true strength unfathomable. Seeing you appear, the head of the Chixiao sword sect who had been causing the disturbance felt a tremor in his heart. Even though the prestige of the Qingyun sect had long been eroded by the passage of time, facing this mysterious existence that had suddenly emerged, exercising caution was certainly the prudent path. Thus, in the following moment, he performed an action that caused Lin Wanhai to view Chixiao with respect as he bowed before you. I am Chixiao of the Chixiao sword sect. May I ask for the senior's name? Unexpectedly, your following words left him stunned on the spot. I am the Juxiao Zhenren. As expected, the moment you finished speaking, Chixiao expression changed drastically, because he had once heard from the elders of his clan that 10,000 years ago there was a Juxiao Zhenren who single-handedly suppressed the entire Tianan region. Even though you were currently covered in tattered robes, your presence caused him to harbor thoughts of retreat. Senior, today's events are nothing but a misunderstanding. My Chixiao sword sect is willing to offer reparations. He thought you would happily accept the proposal of this junior, but you stated coldly, do not say I did not grant you an opportunity. Sever the hands of your subordinates and cripple half of your own cultivation. As soon as these words fell, Chixiao was frozen in place, but after only a second of internal struggle, he truly did not hesitate to sever the hands of his subordinates. Seeing this, Lin Wanhai felt a deep sense of awe. As expected of the strongest patriarch, a single sentence was enough to make them tear each other apart. Having completed these tasks, Chixiao bowed low once more. Senior, are we permitted to leave now? Observing the look of intense resentment etched onto his face, you offer a faint smile, then utter words that push him to the brink of fury. Earlier, I instructed you to sever their limbs only because I did not wish for them to suffer a painful death. Now, kill them all. The moment these words fell, Chixiao was instantly consumed by a fit of rage. I can be killed, but I will not be humiliated. This is truly going too far in your arrogance. As soon as he finished speaking, he lunged forward, closing the distance between you in a single step, and in that instant his blade pierced through your body. He could scarcely believe that he had defeated you with such ease. Yet, as you watched your life force slowly ebb away, your heart was already blooming with joy. After 10,000 years, the Foundation Establishment realm is finally coming to an end, you think to yourself, and with a sense of fulfillment, you collapse to the ground, falling completely still. This sight leaves everyone present in a state of absolute shock. Chixiao, staring at the longsword in his hand, finds it impossible to believe his own eyes. Could he have truly slain the legendary Juxiao Zhenren just like that? Furthermore, he clearly witnessed this formidable expert laughing as he fell. What then was he laughing about? However, unlike the astonishment felt by the others, Lin Wanhai's face turned pale. How could the old ancestor have perished so quickly? Where was the returning to simplicity state he spoke of? But before Lin Wanhai could grasp the situation, Chixiao arrogantly pointed a finger at her. Lin Wanhai, why don't you kneel? Count a few more times to that pathetic secret realm and see if the Qingyun Sect has any other old ancestors left to emerge. Yet, the moment he finished his taunt, your unique ability was immediately triggered, and you stepped out of the secret realm, completely unscathed. Seeing another version of you appear, the smile on Chixiao face instantly froze, and even Lin Wanhai found it impossible to comprehend. What is happening? How has the old ancestor returned to life? You, however, ignore their reactions and begin to sense the state of this new body. Your cultivation has now reached the Golden Core realm. Although it has increased 100-fold compared to before, in the eyes of Chixiao, who has already reached the nascent soul realm, you are still no different from an ant. This will not do, I must rely on him to cultivate further. Contemplating this, you deliver a remark that shakes the very heavens. I am Jufeng Zhenren. I never imagined that my senior brother would meet his end at the hands of a treacherous villain such as you. However, upon hearing these words, the mind of Chixiao, standing opposite, went completely blank. Last time, Juxiao Zhenren appeared to have no cultivation base at all, yet this person seemed to be at the Golden Core stage. But the strange thing was that the two of them looked exactly alike. Although he did not understand what was happening, Chixiao did not hesitate to draw his sword and strike. Unsurprisingly, Jufeng Zhenren immediately fell to this single blow, marking the second consecutive death of an expert from the Qingyun Sect. At this moment, Chixiao's confidence had reached its absolute peak. Lin Wanhai, are your sect's patriarchs made of mud? Why are they so fragile? It seems this Qingyun Sect has truly fallen into decline. The patriarchs you summon are nothing but frauds. Hurry and summon a few more for me to sharpen my blade upon. Lin Wanhai was so enraged she nearly fainted, collapsing before the entrance of the secret realm, helpless as a lamb awaiting the slaughter. But just as Qi Xiaoyun prepared to root out the problem once and for all, another figure appeared ahead. The cultivation of this newcomer had reached the nascent soul realm. You dare to kill the two junior brothers of Gufan? Great desolation, heaven imprisoning finger descend. Although Qi Xiaoyun was momentarily dazed, the opponent's expression was so grave that he instinctively utilized his sect's magical treasure to defend himself. However, after waiting several seconds, he discovered that no attack had arrived at all. Another useless patriarch putting on a show of force, he mocked. Seeing that his intimidation had failed, he continued his provocation without fear. My great desolation, heaven imprisoning finger is a spiritual attack. You have already been struck and are yet unaware. Hearing this, Qi Xiaoyun hurriedly examined his sea of consciousness, but the next second he laughed at himself. Where is there any spiritual attack? You are at death's door, yet you still speak nonsense. The Qingyun Sect has so many patriarchs, yet not one of them possesses a brain. As the words left his lips, Qi Xiaoyun did not hesitate. With a flying sword, he directly took the life of this Juyi Zhenren. Yet the matter did not end there. He hurriedly activated his message Jade Slip, sending word to the Qixiao Sword Sect, stating that a mysterious secret realm existed within the Qingyun Sect. Within this secret realm, there are countless patriarchs, and although their strength is inferior, their behavior is highly bizarre, giving one the feeling that they are endless, impossible to eradicate. And to prevent this realm from producing even stronger patriarchs, I suggest the sect dispatches more high-level experts. Having sent the message, this mission fraught with constant setbacks had completely exhausted his patience. At this moment, his only thought was to conclude the task as quickly as possible and return home. No sooner had this thought crossed his mind than a chillingly familiar figure appeared before him. I am Jujui Zhenren. Before you could even finish your sentence, you struck Qi Xiaoyun with a single palm. Caught completely off guard, Qi Xiaoyun was sent flying through the air. You have no martial honor. You dare to launch a sneak attack? Qi Xiaoyun forcibly suppressed his rage, struggling to maintain his composure. Although this new ancestor was also in the nascent soul realm, there was a gap of 3 minor stages between them. If he exerted his full strength, killing him should not be difficult. However, what he failed to realize was that you had already achieved the nascent soul realm. There was no longer any need for empty words. In the very next moment, you abandoned all defenses and threw yourself into the fray with reckless intensity. Your body was riddled with fatal sword wounds, yet you continued to strike without a moment's respite. This suicidal style of combat immediately left Qi Xiaoyun overwhelmed and unable to parry your relentless assault. After 3 minutes of brutal combat, you let out a thunderous laugh and drew your final breath, leaving Qi Xiaoyun severely wounded. Hearing that laughter, a chill ran down his spine. He sensed that something was terribly wrong. Even in death, you remained a nightmare. Each time one of you fell, an even more powerful expert emerged to take their place. What realm would the next one inhabit? Terrified by this thought, Qi Xiaoyun hurriedly signaled his disciples, "Quickly, get me out of this place." But before he could even finish his command, a familiar figure appeared once more. You have killed disciples of my Qingyun Sect, and yet you think you can flee? At this instant, Qi Xiaoyun's mental fortitude shattered completely. Stay back. Before he could speak further, he saw you gently raise your hand, and a massive palm descended from the heavens. With a deafening boom, Qi Xiaoyun and all the disciples of the Qixiao Sword Sect were ground into dust. Yet, despite successfully resolving the crisis for the sect, you felt no joy. Although this vessel already possessed the strength of the deity transformation realm, which would be considered the level of a grandmaster in any ordinary sect, beyond the deity transformation lay the void refinement, Tao integration, tribulation transcendence, and Mahayana realms. In the grand scheme of things, the deity transformation realm was merely a slightly larger ant. You still had to find a way to grow stronger. At this thought, you hurriedly recalled your previous deaths. Your score this time was lower than before, nearing the absolute bottom. It seemed you would have to find a more innovative way to die. Unexpectedly, Lin Wanner stood nearby, her eyes wide with shock and her mouth agape in disbelief, though she quickly managed to regain her senses. I shall begin by reporting to you the current state of the Qingyun Sect. Now that she is the last remaining member of the sect, she has come to the entrance of the secret realm to plead for help, solely to protect the sect's sacred treasure, the Hoshin Mirror. The ancestor of the Chixiao Sword Sect, Chixiao Zi, possesses the strength of the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. If he cannot obtain the Hoshin Mirror, they will never give up. Having said that, she retrieved the Hoshin Mirror from her storage ring. As you gazed upon the Hoshin Mirror in your hand, a flawless plan to ascend to great power took shape in your mind, yet you remained unaware that an even greater peril was silently approaching. At that very moment, an enormous flying ship, vast enough to blot out the sky, was descending toward the Qingyun Sect. Standing upon the vessel, the ancestor Chixiao Zi frowned slightly, for he had received the message sent by Chixiao Yun. Although he was greatly astonished by the news that the Qingyun Sect still had an ancestor alive, what incensed him even more was that Chixiao Yun had died there. That was a body he had meticulously cultivated for hundreds of years, waiting only until his own lifespan was nearing its end to perform a soul possession, but he never expected that it would fall within this insignificant Qingyun Sect. Contemplating this, Qi cast a cold glance at the elder beside him. It is truly a pity that your junior brother has perished. Once we have slain the ancestor of the Qingyun Sect, you shall go and absorb his vital essence, which will serve as a fitting retribution for your junior brother. Hearing this, the elder Chixiao Mingyuan was filled with immense joy, declaring that he was honored to serve as the vanguard. Yet, before the flying ship could descend, a figure silently appeared upon its deck. Chixiao Sword Sect, you have slaughtered so many of my disciples, and yet you have the gall to come here seeking your own deaths. I am Gu Fan, all of you come at me together. Ignorant of the true situation, upon seeing the enemy appear, Chixiao Mingyuan was immediately consumed by a towering rage. His strength at the first level of the spirit transformation realm erupted with terrifying force, unleashing a lethal strike intent on tearing you asunder. But as the two formidable surges of spiritual energy collided and dissipated, the unexpected result was that you remained completely unscathed. On the contrary, Chixiao Mingyuan was forced back more than 100 paces. Though both stand within the spirit transformation realm, the disparity in their power was now evident. Facing an opponent of this caliber hardly felt like a challenge worthy of your effort. Thus, to increase the difficulty of the encounter, you closed the distance toward this ant who lacked any self-awareness. If I cannot finish you within 3 strikes, I shall take my own life right here. As these words fell, the complexion of Qi Mingyuan flushed a deep crimson. Both of them were merely at the first level of the spirit-severing realm. By what right do you dare to show such contempt for me? No sooner had he finished speaking than he transformed into a streak of blood-colored swordlight, lunging forward. But to his utter astonishment, you did not attempt to dodge or evade. Instead, you shaped your fingers into the form of a blade and unleashed a strike using the prestigious white cloud technique of this body. Though the strike appeared ordinary, it carried an unparalleled supreme pressure. In a mere heartbeat, Qi Mingyuan's body was riddled with dozens of wounds that cut down to the bone. You never imagined that an opponent at the same cultivation level could be so feeble. Terrified, he turned back, desperately calling out to the ancestor to save his life. However, Qi Shaozi felt that his subordinate had lost all face, so he stealthily unleashed 3 soul-devouring spikes in an attempt to assassinate you. An ordinary person might have tried to evade such a sneak attack, but for you, life and death are but a trifling game. In the very next moment, an invisible sword intent descended from the void, cleaving both Qi Mingyuan and the incoming spikes into 2. The shockwave of this technique nearly capsized the flying ship. It was only through Qi Shaozi's desperate efforts to stabilize it that they did not plummet from the sky. Despite losing the first round, Qi Shaozi was secretly delighted. He was now convinced that this Taoist Jui was also merely at the first level of the spirit-severing realm. If he were to act personally, he was 9 parts certain he could secure the kill. Yet, he never anticipated that at this moment you were already prepared to throw your life away to charge at him. Faced with this reckless, suicidal fighting style, Qi Shaozi immediately felt pressure mount like a crushing mountain and ordered 5 elders to attack in unison. Having sacrificed several magical artifacts, they finally managed to quell the explosion. Of the 5 elders, 3 were gravely wounded and 2 were dead. Qi Shaozi himself could not withstand the strain, collapsing to the ground while coughing up blood. What kind of madmen are these people from the Qingyun Sect? Should high-level masters not probe each other's strength before committing to a technique? Before he could even finish his thought, he witnessed a sight that left him paralyzed in shock. His opponent was preparing to self-destruct. Although he had technically emerged victorious, such a hollow win left him feeling bitter and incensed. Having sustained such heavy injuries, he would likely need to enter seclusion for 50 years just to recover. After a moment of composing himself, a smirk curled upon Qi Shaozi's lips, his gaze fixated on Lin Wanhai. Qingyun Sect, do you still have any other ancestors remaining? Although it was phrased as a question, Qi Shaozi already had the answer in his heart. How could there possibly be another ancestor? If there were, they would have emerged to assist long ago, rather than letting Taoist Jui throw his life away in a suicidal explosion. Contemplating this, Qi Shaozi, before his laughter could fully subside, a familiar voice descended from the peak. I am Gu Fan. Once again, a familiar silhouette emerged from the forbidden grounds. The heavens and earth shifted in an instant, the surroundings transforming into a vast landscape of green pines and cold frost. Witnessing this scene, Qi Shaozi's instinct was to retreat immediately. He never imagined that the Qingyun Sect possessed an expert capable of manifesting such a phenomenon. To pit his own strength against such power would be nothing more than a mantis trying to stop a carriage. With this thought, Qi Shaozi ordered the 3 elders behind him to attack while he burned his own longevity to activate a forbidden escape technique. Yet, to his shock, the 3 elders could not withstand even a single second. A mere flash of sword radiance swept through, and they fell to the ground, lifeless. Far away, Qi Shaozi had fled 1,000 miles, yet terror still gripped his heart. Despite having traveled this far, he realized he had not yet escaped the reach of the phenomenon. This was clearly the work of a master at the 5th layer of the dragon transformation realm. How could a righteous sect possess such underhanded tactics? If they had such an expert, why had they not revealed him sooner? Suddenly, he recalled the warning from Qi Shaoyun. Every time the ancestor of the Qingyun Sect appeared, he seemed stronger than the last. Could it be that behind this Gufan there existed an even greater master? Realizing this, Qi Shaozi was consumed by regret and immediately burned several decades of his life essence to accelerate his escape. He had to reach his master, only then would he find a path to survival. However, you watched the enemy flee without giving chase, for an opponent of this caliber provided no challenge worth the effort. Your priority now was to pay a visit to their lair to see if their forbidden grounds harbored any hidden ancestors. With that, you simply entrusted the sect affairs to Lin Wanner and flew off into the distance. Unexpectedly, back at the Chixiao sect, the atmosphere was one of celebration. Everyone assumed Qixiaozi had returned victorious, leaving them entirely unguarded. The next moment, a colossal sword, possessing the power to shake the heavens, descended through the void. In an instant, the millennium-old foundation of the Chixiao sword sect was reduced to ash by your hand. Seeing the enemy obliterated without a shred of resistance, you could not help but marvel at the power of this new body. Compared to the true person Juyi, Gufan possessed a much broader array of cultivation techniques. This Pine Wind Sword technique was vastly superior to the previous White Cloud art. With your explosive cultivation base combined with this evolved technique, the difference was immeasurable. Although you were only at the 5th layer of the Dragon Transformation realm, you were confident that you would not lose even if pitted against one at the peak of the realm. You needed to find stronger adversaries immediately. With this intent, you headed directly for Tianya City, intending to purchase information from Xing Weizi. Unexpectedly, as soon as Xing Weizi heard your name, he became immediately intrigued. After all, the news of you single-handedly annihilating the entire Qi-Tu sword sect had already spread far and wide. Furthermore, it was long rumored that the forbidden grounds of the Thon Van sect were deeply mysterious. Now that he had finally encountered you in the flesh, he felt compelled to divine your origins. However, the moment he attempted to perform his heavenly calculations, dark clouds gathered over Tian Nai City, crackling with violent thunder. It seemed that should he truly uncover your secrets, the lives of everyone within the city would be forfeit. A mere attempt to probe your depth had already cost him a century of his lifespan. Xing Weizi hurriedly withdrew his consciousness, filled with deep regret. Although he remained uncertain of the truth behind the Thon Van sect, he became even more convinced that you were an extraordinary existence. Regarding your demands, he dared not show the slightest delay. Thus, he quickly provided you with the information you required. After fleeing, Shi-Tu-Zi had sought refuge at the Wanhai Ko of the Upper Realms. This Wanhai Ko is a formidable power, a hegemon of the region whose sectmaster Shi Yan has already reached the first heaven of the immortal embryo realm. His subordinates, the 3 brothers of the Shi family, are all peak experts of the transforming dragon realm. Moreover, they are the illegitimate children of a supreme being from the Death Forbidden Zone. Regardless of whether one considers their strength or their backing, they are of the highest caliber. Having spoken, Xing Weizi presented a map of Wanhai Ko as a gesture of his goodwill toward you. Upon obtaining the map, you did not hesitate, immediately intending to pay a visit to Wanhai Ko. A sectmaster at the immortal embryo realm was of no concern to you. You were far more interested in the illegitimate child of the supreme being. If you were to kill him, draw the vengeance of the supreme being, and perish by his hand, the points earned would surely be exceptionally high. Meanwhile, Qi-Tu-Zi lay dying at Wanhai Ko. Before he could even catch his breath, he received news that the Qi-Tu sword sect had been annihilated. Both the people and the mountain itself had been razed to the ground. Upon hearing this tragic news, Qi-Tu-Zi's vision darkened and he nearly collapsed. After steadying his emotions, he hurriedly begged the 3 brothers of the Shi family to intervene. After all, the order to seize the Haothian mirror had been a direct command from Wanhai Ko. Although he had acted on his own accord to slaughter nearly all the disciples of the Thun Van sect, his original intent was still to fulfill the mission entrusted to him by Wanhai Ko. But to his surprise, the 3 brothers of the Shi family listened to Qi-Tu-Zi's grievances without the slightest change in expression. The ancestor of the Than Van sect was clearly nearing his deathbed, which was why he had descended the mountain to seek his own end. Although they did not fear a 5th stage transforming dragon cultivator, Wanhai Ko did not wish to be targeted by such a man. Thus, the 3 brothers of the Shi family prepared to issue an order to expel Qi-Tu-Zi. However, at that very moment, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky outside the Great Hall. Gufan had arrived. Qixiaozi was so terrified that he scrambled into a corner, limbs trembling, leaving the 3 Shi brothers with no choice but to stand their ground and face the threat. Outside the hall, screams echoed from every direction as the Pine Moon manifestation coalesced, unleashing endless waves of energy that erupted in a series of deafening explosions. Disciples of the Wanhai sect were dying and suffering injuries everywhere. An elder had fallen, and the great sect-protecting array began to waver. Such immense damage had been inflicted after only the briefest of confrontations. The 3 Shi brothers furrowed their brows, their fury reaching a breaking point. Since when had their demonic sect been subjected to such an audacious assault at their very doorstep? Since the opponent had no sense of their own limitations, why should they show any further restraint? Could a mere 5th stage dragon transformation cultivator from the Qingyun Sect truly turn the heavens upside down? Fueled by this thought, Shi Yi immediately unleashed his myriad soul banner. The 3 4th stage dragon transformation experts struck at the same time, manifesting their own vision that covered the sky and swallowed the earth. The Pine Moon manifestation and the roiling black smoke collided violently. However, following a heaven-shaking and earth-shattering impact, not only were you not driven back, but you actually gained the upper hand. This first exchange left the 3 Shi brothers deeply shaken, and they hurriedly discarded their initial arrogance. Meanwhile, on the battlefield below, Ying Aoshin, the holy son of the Wanhai sect, curled his lips into a smirk. A gleam of avarice flashed in his eyes as he watched you. His father, a supreme expert, had bestowed upon him a forbidden technique, one that allowed him to seize the manifestations of others and make them his own. The arrival of Ancestor Gufan of the Qingyun Sect at their gate was truly a gift delivered to his doorstep. With this in mind, Ying Ocean instructed the elders currently in battle to keep you alive, leaving you with just a single breath. Such was his command. Upon hearing this, the three Shi brothers secretly cursed the situation. Was this holy son suffering from some sort of madness? Even with their full strength, victory was not guaranteed. Yet he demanded they spare the enemy's life. While the three pondered how to proceed, you had already reached your limit. Since descending the mountain, you had been fighting with everything you had, manifesting your power repeatedly without a moment of respite. To continue fighting while showing signs of fatigue, perhaps your reputation would diminish. And so in the next moment you let out a hearty laugh and chose to trigger a self-detonation, instantly turning the sky-filling manifestation into a purgatory of destruction. Witnessing this scene, Xie and his two companions, why would he choose to self-destruct when everything was seemingly under control? Ordinarily, one only considers self-destruction when death is imminent, yet he had already secured victory and still he chose to detonate his core. However, the three of them had no time for reflection, for this was the self-destruction of a fifth-stage Hualong expert, accompanied by ominous celestial phenomena. All they could do was exhaust every defensive art at their disposal in a desperate bid to escape. Only Ying Ocean, who had only reached the Tuki realm, was not so fortunate. Not only were all of his protective artifacts shattered, but his Hualong realm servant was also killed in the crossfire. Yet even then, he could not withstand the sheer horror of the blast. Before his demise, he still attempted to invoke his father, the Supreme, to intimidate his foes. But the enemy had already self-destructed. There was no longer an opportunity to rely on the power of his lineage. The illegitimate son of the Supreme Path was thus humiliated, blown to pieces in such a wretched manner. Indeed, as the demonic clouds dissipated, an ancient weary voice resonated from deep beneath the earth. Sect Master Shi Yan, who had been in seclusion, had finally awakened. As a powerful expert at the Jiantai realm, he had always remained indifferent to the trivial affairs of the outside world, yet this time he had suffered a spiritual backlash during his cultivation. Thus he was forced to emerge to investigate the outcome, but had he not looked, he would not have known. Upon seeing the aftermath, his heart nearly shattered from rage. On one hand, the Wanhai coup which he had labored to build had been reduced to ruins. On the other, the Supreme's illegitimate son, entrusted to his care, had been slain. The enemy responsible for this chaos had self-destructed, and even Qixiaozi, who had instigated the trouble, had fled long before the battle commenced. Consumed by a maddening fury, Xian pulled Gufan from the ruins, intending to hack him into 1,000 pieces to vent his wrath, but in the very next second he witnessed a sight that left him utterly astounded. At the final moment you were smiling. What, in the end, were you laughing at? On the other side, you stepped out from the forbidden grounds of the Qingyun Sect, your mortality score for this venture reaching grade B, your cultivation strength having surged to the 8th stage Hualong realm. Seeing the Patriarch emerge, Lin Wani did not know whether to rejoice or mourn. If her conjecture was correct, the Patriarch Gufan had surely fallen. Your subsequent explanation confirmed her suspicions. You even took her to pay respects to your previous incarnations. The sensation of visiting one's own grave is truly peculiar, but is this not a testament to all that you have endured? Reflecting on this, you intended to proceed to Wanhai coup. After all, Shi Yan would certainly not let the matter rest after Gufan had slain his people. Rather than waiting for the opponent to arrive at your doorstep and threaten the sect, it is better to strike while he is compromised. Seeing you prepare to depart, Lin Wani took a step forward and asked softly, "Patriarch, will you return?" Without looking back, you replied gently, "I shall return." Immediately thereafter, you took a single step and vanished without a trace. Simultaneously, news spread that the headquarters of the Wanhai sect in Tianya City had been completely eradicated. Jingweizi knew this was your doing, and he intended for the Tianji Pavilion to continue monitoring the movements of the Qingyun Sect. Beyond him, many rogue cultivators had gathered in the city, most of whom held old grudges against the Wanhai sect. Hearing that this demonic sect was in decline, they had traveled from afar to contribute their strength to the cause of purging demons and eliminating evil, taking the opportunity to see if they could seize any fortuitous encounters. In a short span of time, internal tumult erupted incessantly within the Wanhai sect. The three Shi brothers were furious, yet utterly helpless. They had been heavily wounded in the previous battle, and the sect master was forced into seclusion to treat his injuries. To resolve the desperate situation at hand, they decided to unleash the monster sealed within the sect's forbidden grounds. However, before they could even break the seal, the ancestor of the Qingyun sect arrived once more. You stood hovering in the sky, wind and lightning gathered in your grasp, and the full power of your 8th heavenly layer of the dragon transformation realm erupted. You immediately unleashed a series of powerful manifested attacks toward the location where you remembered Shi Yan was in seclusion. Upon witnessing the legendary ancestor of the Qingyun sect take action, the rogue cultivators who had been watching from the sidelines rushed forward in a frenzy, fearing that if they were a moment too late, their fortuitous encounters would be snatched away by others. Although the three Shi brothers and a group of elders desperately tried to hold their ground, it was ultimately in vain. The hastily erected sect protection formation shattered instantly. The location of Shi Yan's seclusions was leveled by the explosion. Such bullying was truly excessive. As Shi Yan abruptly opened his eyes, the aura of a powerhouse in the immortal embryo realm surged forth. In an instant, a powerful wave of spiritual energy collided with your wind and lightning manifestation, helping the Wanhai sect block this staggering blow. Because his healing process was interrupted, Shi Yan's wounds worsened, and his cultivation showed signs of slipping back to the peak of the dragon transformation realm. Your previous strike had been launched with your full strength. nearly draining your entire reserve of magic power, yet you had no time to rest. Immediately following that, you launched another strike, combining wind and lightning with spiritual energy. Shi Yan barely managed to parry it, but he could no longer hold his ground. He staggered back several paces before dropping to one knee. Realizing that his cultivation was plummeting, you were instantly overjoyed. You hurriedly raised your voice to incite the crowd of rogue cultivators behind you. I shall hold this demonic fiend at bay. You may now seize whatever fortuitous encounters the Wanhai sect possesses. In a flash, accompanied by cries of exterminate the demons and purge the path, the rogue cultivators swarmed forward like an army of ants. Everywhere they passed, not a living soul remained, and even the grass and trees were stripped bare. Two figures emerged from within the Wanhai sect. They were elders of the Juyo Gate, arriving to conduct an investigation. Although the Juyo Gate serves as the superior sect to the Wanhai sect, their purpose in coming here was not to provide reinforcements, but to see if anything of value remained to be plundered. Utilizing their divine sense, they swept the area and quickly uncovered the three brothers hiding within a restricted zone. Without a moment's hesitation, they chanted an incantation to release a minor seal. In that instant, a terrifying jet-black mist rose up, chilling the soul of any who beheld it. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding cultivators had their life force drained dry. Even the three Shijia brothers were reduced to mere nourishment for the monsters. Seeing the pitch-black mist erupting forth, Xingweizi, currently on the battlefield, displayed a look of pure horror. How could the Wanhai sect harbor such a nest of abominable demonic creatures? The Wanhai sect truly deserved its destruction. The appearance of demonic entities is not something ordinary mortals can withstand. This was a situation that even the Tianji Tower had failed to foresee. Left with no other choice, Xingweizi burned a spiritual talisman to prepare his retreat, yet his eyes revealed an endless sense of bitterness, lamenting that regardless of who wins the battle today, the territory of the Wanhai sect might very well be wiped off the map. As long as these demonic creatures remain, none shall escape unscathed. Facing you from above and under the weight of your relentless death-defying assault, Shi Yan was finally struck down by a bolt of wind thunder. However, the aura of a Xiantai realm powerhouse remains distinct from others, and it almost instantly drew the attention of the Black Mist. By the time Shi Yan turned back and discovered the Black Mist, it was already too late. His severe injuries left him unable to resist its corruption. In an instant, that demonic entity seized control of his physical consciousness. Before he vanished entirely, he used his final strength to roar at you. Gufan, do not think you have won. Above the Wanhai sect sits the Juyo Gate. You and I are nothing more than slightly larger ants. As his voice trailed off, a massive plume of black smoke erupted from the earth, and many rogue cultivators who could not escape in time were struck, dying on the spot the moment they were touched by the black mist. In a heartbeat, the earth was filled with cries of agony and despair. Watching from the shadows, the elders of the Juyo Gate were also taken aback. They had never expected that the treasure the Wanhai sect had been concealing was in truth a demonic entity. To hide this without reporting it and to harbor... Before his death, he dared to claim that the Nine Underworld was his backer. Who knows how many people will now cast the blame of conspiring with the demon race upon their sect. Upon this realization, the two immediately activated their artifacts and fled into the distance. At that very moment, the alien demon possessing the body of Xian bared its teeth in a wicked grin and whispered, "You appear to be quite exhausted. Submit to me and I shall grant you eternal life." Instead of fear, you looked at this newly emerged adversary with a surge of profound excitement. Deep within your subconscious, a peculiar sensation stirred. The power that fueled your infinite rebirth seemed incompatible with the essence of the alien demon. You realized that as long as you could eradicate these demons, your evaluation score would undoubtedly reach unprecedented heights. Thinking of this, your eyes shone like stars as you offered him a smile. "Eternal life is of no interest to me." No sooner had the words left your lips than you regained your focus, once again gathering the storm's fury, and in the next heartbeat, you charged alone toward the demon. The independent cultivators fleeing below witnessed this scene, and one by one, they were moved to tears. Ancestor Gufan of the Qingyun Sect, I shall forever remember your grace. The races of humanity and demonkind cannot coexist under the same heaven. Today's actions by Senior Gufan are truly worthy of the title Hero of the Human Race. From this day forth, I pledge myself as a disciple of the Qingyun Sect. The legacy and will of the Qingyun Sect must have successors. Even if it means offending the Nine Underworld, what does it matter? A man with nothing has nothing to lose. If I were to betray the righteousness of Senior Gufan today, even if I survived, my heart would never find peace. As a wave of independent cultivators declared their allegiance to the Qingyun Sect, the smirk on the demon leader's face slowly stiffened. It did not fear the presence of powerful human experts. It only feared that these people no longer knew the meaning of death. Wave after wave, they threw themselves into battle with endless resolve. If this continued, the demon race would never know a day of tranquility. Observing you now hailed as the champion of humanity, the demon made a firm decision: it would seize your body at any cost. Only by eliminating a central figure like you could it force these insects to truly comprehend the terror of the demon race. With that thought, the demon issued a command. Every trace of black mist on the battlefield ignored all else, converging solely upon you. Yet, seeing that the time had come, you no longer held back your true strength. You immediately chanted the familiar incantation. Heaven and Earth Infinite, Qingyun Demon Suppressing Explosion. The moment the words left your lips, the wind and lightning surging around you erupted as your 8th layer dragon transformation cultivation base unleashed its full, unbridled power. Resonating with the spiritual power of the rogue cultivators behind him, they condensed into a massive silver-white sword of clouds, charging headlong toward the demon leader within the black mist, fueled by the resolve to perish together. Witnessing this, the expression of the demon leader shifted drastically. It had possessed the immortal Ascension realm body of Xian, and had assumed it could easily crush a cultivator at the 8th stage of the dragon transformation realm, yet it never expected this human cultivator to be so insane as to proactively detonate his own cultivation, leaving no path for retreat. Madman, you truly are a madman through and through. Human cultivators have always been those who cling to life and fear death. Why do you go against the natural order like this? The demon leader roared, surging all its demonic energy to condense into a pitch-black shield, desperately attempting to withstand this world-shattering blow. But the power of the Azure Cloud Great Sword had long since transcended the limits of the dragon transformation realm. It was an eruption for which you had gambled your very life, a manifestation bolstered by the faith of the rogue cultivators, and an obsession born from the longing for defeat. Longing to continue, the great sword crashed thunderously into the demonic shield. The shield shattered like thin paper, instantly disintegrating. The demonic energy purged layer by the Azure Cloud Sword, and the demon leader let out a miserable shriek. Immediately following, along with the body of Xian, the demon core within its body was reduced to ash in the explosion. Amidst the swirling dust, your battered body slowly descended, yet the corners of your mouth curled into that familiar manic smile. 1,000,000 years, from a mere ant-like cultivator to being able to challenge an immortal Ascension realm demon leader while at the 8th stage of the dragon transformation realm. This path I have walked was truly exhilarating. This final sacrifice has been evaluated as an SSS rank achievement. The reason for this evaluation, at the cost of your own life, you annihilated an immortal Ascension realm demon leader, demonstrating the unwavering spirit of humanity and protecting thousands of rogue cultivators, aligning with the righteous essence of the Qingyun Sect, thereby triggering supreme rewards. Your cultivation upon this resurrection has increased 100-fold. Congratulations to the host for breaking through the dragon transformation realm, stepping into the 5th heaven of the immortal Ascension realm, rewarded with a divine ability, Azure Cloud Demon Suppressing Seal, rewarded with the Cultivation Manual, Myriad Kalpa Azure Cloud Art, rewarded with an exclusive phenomenon, Heavens Falling into Azure Cloud, additional reward. You may retain all combat memories and insights into cultivation techniques from before your passing. With his lifespan increased by 1,000 years, the moment the feedback of power echoed in his mind, deep within the secret realm of the Qingyun Sect, the long silent stone gates suddenly swung open. You emerged clad in robes as white as moonlight, though not a single trace of spiritual energy radiated from your body. Every movement you made resonated with the laws of heaven and earth. Behind you, azure clouds swirled in an ethereal display, and the phantoms of stars bowed in manifestation. It was a celestial phenomenon that only a powerhouse of the immortal Terrace realm could trigger. Lin Wanhai and dozens of rogue cultivators who had volunteered to protect the secret realm and taken an oath to join the Qingyun Sect were standing guard at the entrance, and upon seeing you, they collectively knelt upon the ground. Their voices were filled with profound excitement and reverence. We respectfully welcome the old ancestor out of seclusion. As Saint Ancestor, you gently raised your hand, a flow of soft power lifting everyone to their feet, your gaze sweeping across the dense crowd below. You felt a flicker of surprise, a single self-detonation and fall, yet it had brought so much new strength to this Qingyun Sect, which had been on the brink of total annihilation. Lin Wanhai, her eyes rimmed with red, bowed respectfully. Old Ancestor, are you the senior brother of Old Ancestor Gufan? She had grown accustomed to seeing various ancestors with identical appearances emerge from the secret realm, yet their cultivation bases differed like heaven and earth. Only this time she sensed a pressure she had never felt before. It was a power that far surpassed the transformation into divinity stage. It was enough to make even her soul tremble. I am true immortal Gu Xuan. You spoke with indifference, your gaze shifting toward the Wanhai ruins. I am already well aware of the matters that have transpired. The remnants of the demon race remain, and the 9 nether underworld shields these seeds of disaster. It is time for the heavens of this Tianan region to be cleansed. Before the words had even faded, your figure vanished, reappearing instantly above the desolate Wanhai ruins. At this moment, the residual demonic energy in the Wanhai ruins was still spreading in all directions. The surviving rogue cultivators were gathered, clearing away the low-level monsters that had slipped through the cracks, but as they faced the plumes of black mist pouring from deep within the seal, they remained. The fall of the demon chief just now did not completely eradicate the demon race. The demon nests hidden deep within the forbidden lands are multiplying frantically. Fellow Taoists, fall back. A calm voice resonated, causing everyone to look up. They saw you standing in midair, hands clasped behind your back. The manifestation of the myriad heavens azure cloud unfolded behind you. The moment the scroll opened, golden light illuminated the swirling azure clouds. All the black mist was swept away by the golden light, vanishing instantly like snow meeting boiling water. Those ferocious low-level demons could not even emit a scream, having been completely purified by the azure cloud painting, transforming into spirit energy between heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, the demonic aura covering the entirety of the myriad sea ruins vanished without a trace. The demon nests hidden deep within the Forbidden Land were also suppressed one by one by the Azure Cloud demon-suppressing seal destined never to emerge again. Witnessing this, the rogue cultivators below were utterly stunned. Only after a long silence did a thunderous cheer erupt. Patriarch Guxuan is mighty. The Patriarch is truly the savior of the human race. We swear to follow the Patriarch to the death to restore the Azure Cloud Sect and to protect Tianan. But just as everyone was in high spirits, the sky suddenly tore open, revealing a colossal rift. The next second, 3 pitch-black war vessels tore through the void and arrived. The 3 large red characters' Nine Underworld on the hulls were blinding under the sun, radiating a terrifying demonic aura. The black-robed old man standing at the bow released the pressure of the 9th layer of the immortal terrace realm without restraint. It pressed down on the rogue cultivators below, making it difficult for them to breathe. Many low-level cultivators were even forced to their knees. So it was you who destroyed the myriad sea ruins, killed my demonic envoy, and purified the demon seeds of my 9 Underworld. The black-robed old man stared at you with gloomy eyes, his voice thick with killing intent. He was none other than the leader of the 9 Underworld, Shangshuan, a peak immortal terrace powerhouse who has lived for thousands of years. He was only a step away from the quasi-emperor realm, was a Kiwazipan, planted by the demon lord within the human race. The 2 Nine Underworld elders who had fled earlier were now fawning as they stood beside Shangshuan, pointing at you and saying in a shrill voice, "Master, it is this person who not only destroyed the myriad sea ruins, killed Sect Master Xian, but also arrogantly claimed he would level our 9 Underworld and eradicate the demon race to the very root." Hearing this, you sneered. Not only were you devoid of fear, but a flicker of barely concealed excitement flashed in your eyes. With an Immortal Terrace 9th layer expert and 18 elders of the Immortal Terrace realm, this formation was far more powerful than the previous demon chief. Dying at their hands would surely propel the evaluation score to a new height, perhaps even allowing for a breakthrough to SSS rank, or perhaps something even higher. You leveled the 9 Nether Underworld, standing with your hands clasped behind your back, your tone filled with disdain. Do you pieces of trash who collude with the demon race, betraying humanity as you do, truly think you are worthy of me taking action personally? I will give you one chance. Attack together. If you can manage to kill me, consider it a testament to your ability. If you dare not, then obediently accept your death and serve as a stepping stone on my path to true strength. As these words fell, the entire assembly fell into a deathly silence. The rogue cultivators below could not help but gasp in shock. Shangshuan is the leader of the 9 Nether Underworld, having reigned supreme over the southern heavens for thousands of years, a true peak stage immortal platform expert, whose 9 nether demonic arts have reached a divine unfathomable level, with countless righteous cultivators having perished at his hands. No matter how strong this old ancestor Guxuan may be, he should not be so careless. Shangshuan laughed in pure fury. How arrogant this young child is. Having not stepped into the world for 1,000,000 years, do you truly think this southern heaven still belongs to your Qingyun Sect? Today I will teach you that there is always a sky above the sky. Before the words had even faded, Shangshuan launched his assault. In the palm of his hand, pitch-black demonic flames surged, laced with the countless wails of vengeful spirits. In the next moment, a palm print containing the laws of destruction thundered toward you. It was the supreme technique of the 9 Nether Underworld, the 9 Nether World-destroying palm, capable of easily crushing a mid-stage immortal platform cultivator. Yet, it did not end there, as the 18 elders of the 9 Nether Underworld behind him formed a formation in unison. The 9 Nether demonic formation was instantly deployed. Jet-black demonic energy engulfed the heavens and the earth, completely sealing off the space around you. Countless demonic blades materialized from all directions, cutting off every path of retreat. They knew well that this old ancestor of the Qingyun Sect before them acted with mysterious methods, possessing terrifying combat strength, and only by joining forces could they truly annihilate him. Seeing this, the smile in your eyes deepened. Instead of resisting, you dispersed all the protective spiritual energy surrounding your body. You allowed those world-shattering palm prints and demonic blades to descend upon you. I will not accept this. Under the onslaught of spiritual energy, your body shattered inch by inch within the demonic flames. The crisp, clear sound of breaking bones echoed through the air. Yet, despite this, you continued to stare fixedly at the stunned Shangshuan, letting out a roar of hearty laughter. Is this truly the extent of your power? Have you not eaten today? Strike with more force, for I shall not be content to die with such a pathetic display as this. Hearing these words, Shangshuan's scalp went numb. A madman. This is surely a madman. He has lived for thousands of years and witnessed countless ferocious beings, yet he has never encountered one as deranged as this. Faced with a full-strength blow from a peak immortal platform realm expert, you not only refused to evade, but you actively dismantled your defenses, even mocking him for his lack of strength. He truly could not comprehend what could have possibly driven this old ancestor of the Qingyun Sect to yearn for death with such intensity, but he had no time to dwell on it. Your remaining consciousness before fading into oblivion once again detonated your entire fifth heaven immortal platform cultivation base along with the Qingyun sword intent within your body, transforming into a pillar of light that pierced the heavens. It erupted with a thunderous roar toward Shangshuan and the 18 elders. With another heaven-shaking explosion, the 9 Nether demonic formation was shattered instantly. Of the 18 immortal platform elders, 7 were killed on the spot. The remaining 11 were severely wounded, their life-bound Dharma treasures pulverized by the blast. Even Shang Xuan was sent flying back hundreds of zhang, vomiting blood from the shockwave of the explosion, a deep gruesome wound appearing on his chest. With his bones exposed, his aura weakened by more than half in an instant. This fall has been graded as SSS tier. Reason for the rating. Facing a peak Immortal Platform powerhouse and 18 Immortal Platform elders, you sacrificed your life to severely injure the core forces of the Nine Underworld, shattering the demon race's plot of infiltration, and safeguarding the foundation of the Tianan human race, thereby triggering the gifts of the Heavenly Tao. Your cultivation base upon this resurrection has increased by 1,000 times. Congratulations to the host for breaking through the Immortal Platform realm and entering the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm, just one step away from the Great Emperor realm. Reward. Obtain the recognition of the Heavenly Tao, the blessing of the Tianan human race's fortune, and the perfection of the eternal Qingyun art, allowing you to control the timing of your resurrection voluntarily, without the need to wait past. The sky above the Qingyun Sect's secret realm was suddenly engulfed in dense azure clouds, illuminated by 10,000 rays of light and 1,000 streams of auspicious energy. Immediately thereafter, you stepped forth, the imperial might of the quasi-emperor realm descending upon the world. The mere aura radiating from your form caused the entire mountain range of the Qingyun Sect to tremble. This time, Lin Wanhai and every disciple of the Qingyun Sect, along with all cultivators within a radius of 10,000 miles, felt a pressure emanating from the very depths of their souls. They knelt in unison toward the secret realm, offering their obeisance to the quasi-emperor ancestor, welcoming the holy arrival. Meanwhile, Kongshuan of the Wanhai Ku stood clutching his chest, surveying the devastation with eyes filled with terror and deep-seated malice. He could not comprehend how the ancestors of this Qingyun sect were all more insane and formidable than the last. From Zhenren Juxiao at the 7th level of Foundation Establishment to Zhenren Gu Xuan at the Quasi-Emperor realm, in the span of a few short days, they had achieved a transformation that others could not reach in a millennium. This was truly defying the heavens. At that moment, a severely wounded elder spoke, his voice trembling with dread. Alliance Master, what shall we do now? The old monster may have self-destructed, but there is no telling if he might return. Past experiences had left them with deep psychological trauma regarding the ancestors of the Qingyun sect. The sensation of being unable to kill or eradicate them and witnessing them grow stronger with every struggle was truly despair-inducing. Return? Kongshuan snapped, interrupting his subordinate, a glint of cruelty flashing in his eyes. He has already reduced himself to ashes. How could he possibly return? Even if he possesses heaven-defying abilities, I have already sent word to the Demon Lord. It will not be long before he descends in person. By then, the entire Tiannan and even the Taihuang will belong to our demon race. A mere Qingyun sect will be of no consequence. However, the moment his words faded, a calm voice resonated beside his ear. The Demon Lord wishes to descend? That is perfect. It saves me the trouble of seeking each of you out individually. I truly wish to see if this so-called Demon Lord can provide me with even a modicum of challenge. Hearing these words, every hair on Kongshuan's body stood on end. He turned in a panic, only to see that you had arrived before him, unnoticed. The imperial pressure of a peak-stage quasi-emperor descended like a collapsing sky, and the elders of the Nine Nether Alliance behind him could not even muster a scream, as their spirits were directly crushed by this overwhelming force. They dissolved into dust between the heavens and the earth. Quasi-Emperor realm. Kang collapsed to his knees with a heavy thud. His entire body trembled violently. The arrogance that once defined his features had vanished completely, replaced only by a sense of utter soul-crushing terror. Senior, please spare my life. Senior, please have mercy. It was the Demon Lord who forced me. He coerced me into colluding with the demon race to betray humanity. I am willing to submit to you, Senior. I am willing to help you oppose the Demon Lord. I beg you, Senior, spare my life. You calmly raised an eyebrow and lightly flicked your finger. A surge of azure cloud demon-suppressing energy struck Shang's body, immediately eliciting a shrill, agonizing scream. The brand signifying his pact with the demon race was completely purged from his body. His peak immortal platform cultivation was shattered alongside it, reducing him to nothing more than a cripple. When you betrayed humanity, did you not consider that this day would come? You colluded with the demon race to slaughter living beings, your hands stained with the blood of countless innocent cultivators. Today is the day of your reckoning. As the words left your lips, you pressed your hand downward. Under the sheer weight of your quasi-emperor might, Shangshuan's body was reduced to ashes, leaving not a single trace behind. Having dealt with Shangjun, you finally grasped the complete truth from his memories. 1,000,000 years ago, you had just transmigrated, becoming the true master of the Qingyun Sect, Juxiao. Relying on your reputation alone to suppress the entire Tiannan region, you elevated the Qingyun Sect to the preeminent sect of the realm. This was no empty title. It was because you had inadvertently activated an ability that allowed you to grow stronger whenever you were defeated during the Demon Lord's first invasion of Tiannan. You relied on intentionally being defeated time and time again, reviving and growing stronger with each encounter, until you finally utilized your great vehicle cultivation to perish together with the Demon Lord. You forced the Demon Lord back into the abyss of the Demon Realm, though your own cultivation was entirely extinguished, dropping you to the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment. It was that very battle that taught you the bitter truth. Relying on the unreliability of others when facing a true powerhouse is futile if one lacks genuine strength. In the end, such a path leads only to death. Thus, you resolved to seal yourself within a secret realm for 1,000,000 years, waiting only for someone capable of defeating you, granting you the opportunity to ascend to even greater heights. Meanwhile, the Demon Lord had never abandoned his ambition to conquer Tianan. For the past million years, he has continuously infiltrated the sects of the human race. The Geo Underworld, the Wanhai Sect, and the Chixiao Sword Sect were all merely pawns in his grand design. Now the 1 million-year limit has arrived. The Demon Lord has recovered from his wounds and is on the verge of breaking through the barrier of the demon realm to descend upon Tianan once more. Shangshuan was his final pawn within the human race, tasked with purging the righteous factions of Tianan to pave the way for his descent. Yet upon learning the truth, you felt not a flicker of fear. Instead, your blood surged with fervor. A demon lord of the great emperor realm, this was undoubtedly the most formidable adversary you had encountered since your transmigration. Should you perish by his hand, you could not even fathom the extent of the power you might attain. 3 days later, in the southern region of Tianan, the barrier to the demon realm was shattered, and boundless demonic energy flooded the world, darkening the skies and blotting out the sun entirely. The demon lord arrived, treading upon a sea of blood, his great emperor aura crushing down upon all of Tianan. Countless cultivators trembled beneath this overwhelming pressure, and even the quasi-emperor ancestors of the great Holy Lands emerged from seclusion one after another, their expressions solemn as they gazed toward the rift of the demon realm. They understood that this was a life-or-death struggle for the human race of Tianan. Should they be defeated, the entirety of Tianan would be transformed into a demonic realm, and trillions of living souls would be consumed by the demon race. 1 million years have passed, and I have finally returned. The demon lord's gaze swept across the world, his voice echoing like thunder throughout Tianan, before finally resting upon you, a flash of astonishment flickering in his eyes. It is you. 1 million years have passed, yet you have not perished, though your cultivation has plummeted to such a level. It is laughable that you were able to match me and force a mutual destruction back then was nothing more than blind luck. Today I shall reduce you completely to ashes. Witnessing this, you laughed aloud, gripping the Qingyun sword as you lunged toward the Demon Lord. Demon Lord, it has been 1 million years. Have you been well? Today, allow me to see if you possess the qualifications to make me stronger. Immediately you abandoned all restraint, employing a reckless life-for-life combat style that completely discarded any notion of defense. Your peak quasi-emperor cultivation erupted without reservation, the sword intent of the Qingyun sword rampaging across the heavens as it collided with the Demon Lord's demonic flames. The Demon Lord was both shocked and enraged. He was a Demon Lord of the great Emperor realm, yet facing a mere quasi-emperor cultivator, he found himself overwhelmed by the suicidal style of combat, forced to retreat time and again. Madman, you truly have been a lunatic from beginning to end. The Demon Lord roared in extreme fury, his demonic flames erupting globally as a pitch-black demonic sword coalesced into form, harboring the destructive laws of the demon realm, and slashed fiercely toward you. Today I shall crush your soul and spirit. This sword strike was as swift as lightning, its power far exceeding the limits of the quasi-emperor realm. You had no time to dodge, nor did you have any intention to. The demonic sword instantly pierced through your heart, and the laws of destruction spread throughout your body from the wound. Your vitality rapidly drained away, your physical form gradually shattered within the demonic flames. Yet, even so, you continued to stare into the fierce face of the Demon Lord, letting out a hearty, booming laugh that echoed throughout the entire southern heavens. Excellent. Show me more power. This seat is waiting. This fall has been rated at S rank. Reason for evaluation: face the Demon Lord of the Great Emperor realm, use the body of a quasi-emperor to battle a great emperor, and fought to secure a glimmer of hope for the human race, aligning with the great Tao of heaven and earth, triggering the final reward. Your cultivation upon this resurrection has increased infinitely. Congratulations to the host for breaking through the quasi-emperor realm, entering the great emperor realm, achieving perfection in the Azure Cloud Eternity art, attaining enlightenment of the great Tao of heaven and earth, gaining mastery over life and death, becoming as long-lived as the heavens and earth and coexisting with the sun and the moon. Additional reward: the fortune of the Azure Cloud Sect has been bolstered to its peak, capable of blessing the Azure Cloud Sect to flourish for 10,000 years without decline. You have received the power of the heavenly Tao, capable of purifying all demonic energy in the world. As your laughter faded, your body dissipated, but in the very next second, the laws of heaven and earth across the southern heavens suddenly surged, and azure clouds descended from the ninth heaven, accompanied by 10,000 rays of light and 1,000 streams of auspicious energy. You slowly stepped out from within the azure clouds. Your presence carried no oppressive weight, yet the entire world moved at a single thought of yours. Great Emperor Realm? The solemn smile on the Demon Lord's face instantly froze, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. No, this is impossible. How could you have stepped into the Great Emperor Realm of this world? It is fundamentally impossible for anyone to reach this realm. What kind of monster are you? There is nothing that is impossible. You spoke indifferently, pointing a single finger forward without any earth-shattering phenomena. There was no heaven-shattering roar, yet the Demon Lord who had ravaged the Tianan region for 1,000,000 years, along with the barrier of the demon realm behind him, were reduced to nothingness under that single finger, leaving behind not even a trace. The demonic energy that once clouded the heavens and earth was completely purified by your power of the heavenly Tao. The lands of Tianan were restored to their former purity, the demonic calamity was quelled, and the sky turned clear once more. All the cultivators of Tianan knelt before you in unison. The sound of their voices surged like ocean waves, echoing across the heavens and earth. We welcome the great Emperor Ancestor. May the Ancestor live forever, and may he bless Tianan with his benevolence and rebirth. You waved your hand to dismiss the kneeling masses and turned back toward the Qingyun Sect. The Qingyun Sect was no longer the dilapidated ruin with only one disciple remaining. Countless geniuses fought to enter its gates, and the great holy lands arrived one after another to form alliances. The vassal sects that had once betrayed you now knelt outside the mountain gates, repenting day and night, hoping only to be accepted back. Lin Wanner had also become the new sect master of the Qingyun Sect. Under your protection, she managed the Qingyun Sect with great precision. Recruiting disciples and rectifying the sect's foundations, she restored the glory that existed 1,000,000 years ago. You stood upon the highest peak of the Qingyun Mountain, looking down at the flourishing sects below, observing the peaceful world that spanned across all of Tianan. The corners of your mouth curled into a faint smile. The world believes you are a righteous great emperor born with the destiny of a savior, a hero of humanity, the guardian deity of the Qingyun Sect, yet no one knows that your initial purpose was merely to find someone to strike you so that you might become slightly stronger. 1,000,000 years of seclusion, falling, and being reborn. Through every intentional attempt to seek death, you have finally reached the pinnacle of this world. From a mere ant in the chi condensation stage to a peerless great emperor. From a renowned powerhouse whom no one dared to provoke, to a true human emperor capable of shielding the realm. You have walked a path that ordinary men could never imagine. Lin Wanner stepped forward and bowed. Ancestor, the sect has restored its former glory, and the subordinate sects have returned to our allegiance. The cultivators of Tianan have also expressed their desire to follow the Qingyun Sect and safeguard the peace of Tianan. You nodded slightly, your gaze drifting toward the distant horizon. Very well, however, the world is vast, the universe is infinite, yet no one remains who can defeat me. Within your voice there was no arrogance, no triumph, only a faint trace of regret. Throughout your life, what you pursued was the chance to be bested, to continuously grow stronger, but now that you stand at the pinnacle, there is no longer any opponent capable of fulfilling your desire. Lin Wanner was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, Ancestor, although there are no more opponents, the Qingyun Sect needs you. The human race of Tianan needs you. You can watch the sect grow ever more prosperous and witness the peace of Tianan. Perhaps that too is a form of fulfillment. You turned to look at Lin Wanner, a glimmer of relief flashing in your eyes. Indeed, perhaps this is the finest outcome. 1,000,000 years of effort did not merely forge your own strength, it also protected your sect and shielded the living beings of this world. Although the motivation to continue growing stronger has faded, finding joy in all of this is not impossible. From that day on, you resided within the Qingyun Sect, occasionally venturing out to purge the remnants of the demon race lingering in the world, safeguarding the tranquility of Tianan, and occasionally guiding the disciples of the Qingyun Sect in their cultivation, passing down your own cultivation techniques and insights. Lin Wanner did not fail those expectations, expanding the Qingyun Sect until it became the supreme sect of Tianan. Its renown even spread across the Taihuang continent, and the legends of your deeds shall be whispered across